With KCC Photography and KCC Actions.com. I'm going to do a quick tutorial on this photo and how I got this dreamy, rich, contrasted look with this beautiful light coming in. Alright, so I'm actually going to get started. I'm going to just delete all of these layers here, and we're going to rebuild them. Alright, so this is the beginning, what the straight out of the camera looked like pretty much. I made a couple adjustments in Lightroom to some of the highlights, and I cloned out a couple little things up here. That was the original. So basically we're going to go ahead and get started. So the very first thing I'm going to do is run bokeh with color, and this is in the Bokeh Lovers collection. It's also now in the Kevin's Favorite collection, so that's what we're going to be primarily focusing on. And once this is done, we are going to start making some choices. Now I like to run this first because it gives me a good base of the toning, how soft I want to go, and a general direction on the edit itself. And like always, you can always come back and adjust all these things later down the road because we're going to do everything non-destructively. Alright, so once it's done, you can see what's happened. It's softened everything up. And I'm just going to go to the bokeh base layer here, and with a black brush, and I'm using 100% for this, I'm just going to brush this off of him loosely. I'm not trying to be perfect. It doesn't have to be, because this is all going to blend together. So we're actually going to hit this area right here on the side that's also part of this plane, just to make it more realistic. So you can see the before and after of just doing that. And I'm actually going to cut on the shades of red and cut it down just a little bit because we're going to add some warmth later. And then the next thing, and we're going to use very, very little of this, is the matte with color pop. And this is just to kind of give it a little bit softer, creamier look in the background. And we're going to do the same thing. I'm going to go to the matte, and I'm going to brush this off at 100%. Now normally I do this about 85% if I'm going to use any, but we're going to use very, very little today. So we're going to cut this down to somewhere around 35%, so you can see what's happened and give it a little bit more of a dreamy look. And then we're going to actually get started on adding some of the features. So I'm going to go to File and go to Open, and I'm going to go to our sun overlays, and I'm just going to grab one. Probably this is the one I originally used, so we'll use this one. This is Sunbeam Center, and it looks like a burst of light coming in. So I'm just going to drop this here on the edge, and whenever you're choosing where to put this, we're going to set this in screen mode. You want to kind of follow the light pattern. You can see that there's obviously light coming in from this side. That's where our key light was, our main light actually. So we want to kind of follow that trail. Now once I drop this, I'm going to set this, set a Gaussian blur on it, and I'm going to work at about 30% just because I want to keep some of the beams but break it up mainly. And then we're going to flip this to the top, and you're going to see a big difference in the tonal value, whenever we move this up. And the reason is because we're actually applying this down to everything that we've already done. So we'll come back and play with the opacity here in a few minutes. But I'm going to jump right into our light tricks. And I love this action. This is one of my favorites. I've been using it for probably 3 or 4 years when I first learned how to do it. It gives a really cool appearance in the center. And I'm actually cutting that down just a little bit. And we're going to put this above the other, the bokeh and the matte. And you can see what it does. It adds glow, and then it kind of creates this beautiful off-camera lighting effect, like we had light in one direction. And that's what this is. The bokeh, the light tricks, is basically about light quality and light direction, and you can add that after with that action. Okay. So the next thing we're going to do is actually do a couple things to the baby, and I'm going to start with the Skin Rescue, and I'm going to use This one hasn't been released, but I plan on doing that. I'm going to try to do that as soon as this video is ready. I've been using this for a long time. I've never released any kind of skin actions before because people tend to go overboard, but I'm going to show you how I use them. There's a couple layers in here that will add some things back as well. Alright, so to start, I'm going to actually set my brush at about 70%, and we're just going to selectively brush this in. We don't want him to look like a plastic porcelain baby doll. So we're just going to brush this in lightly. Just like this. And we're just doing this just to break up some of those bad spots that most babies do have. So we can cut this down now. And then I'm going to actually use a little bit of the skin tones because we want to make his skin a little bit more even. That doesn't mean we're going to take the shadows away, but we're going to make the shadows and the light all appear as one note, basically. We want to keep the palette the same. So I'm actually going to just browse through and look at a couple, and if you see one that's kind of close to where you are, then that may be the one. So we're going to go with Baby Doll. So I'm just going to grab a white brush and I'm going to reduce this to about 55%. And we are just going to brush this in. And you can see what's happening is very, very subtle at 55%, and that's exactly what we want. We don't want to go overboard with this either. And we're basically just evening out his skin tones a lot more. You can see I'm not trying to be absolutely perfect, but it's still going to look a lot better. Okay, so I'll show you as soon as my wheel stops turning. I don't know why that's happening, but something just freaked my computer out. Okay, so this is with it back on, and then once you're done, you can kind of adjust the whole opacity. You can actually stack these if you want to add a couple different tones. And if you have an area that's kind of blown out on the skin, there is one in here called Fake Tan, and I'm going to just show you how we could add that. Now with this one, I like to start very, very light, so I'm going to start about 25%, and I'm going to brush this right in, and it's going to kind of add a little bit more color back to that area that was blown out. So now we can actually just cut this one down just a little bit because we want it to be a little bit more of a highlight there. Okay, perfect. So we could stop right here, and this is kind of where I was when I finished, but I'm going to show you a couple little things just that I did, and that's just warm it up globally. And this is how I did it. I'm using the lens filter action, and I'm actually going to use one that's called Warm Light. And this is just going to make everything look a little bit warmer. And I'm going to cut this down to about 25%-ish. So you can see the difference. It didn't take a whole lot, but we just want to represent the light falling down. And that is pretty much it. We could add pop the subject if you want to add a little bit more dramatic to the light. I'll show you what that looks like. If you wanted to make it even more rich and have him be more of the focus. I didn't feel the need to do that in this particular one, but if you wanted to do that, it would look just as good. Alright, if you guys have any questions, please email them to me at kevin@kccphotography.net. You guys have a great day, and thanks for watching.